Yeah, I think too often, you get exposed to the cynical side of life. People telling you to catch yourself on and get a real job, and you're never going to make money in the music industry or whatnot. I don't mean it to be specifically for life and music, but I think you got to dream big, and I mean you have to actually believe that you can achieve your dreams, and I don't mean that in an airy fairy way. I just mean that you kind of have to. You should set the bar high, and just see where it takes you, rather than waking up every day and telling yourself that you're not good enough to do this or good enough to do that. No, I think dreams don't. It's not to do with a particular era you're living in. It's to do with your attitude, and I'm sure different people have very different dreams to to say, for example, young people 20 years ago. But my point is, you just need to set your sights high, and don't kind of don't shortchange yourself. Probably not. It's hard to get a bit of sympathy in the music industry, And anytime, if ever I get home to Belfast and I start complaining, I'm not long told to shut up, you know. I think, it's very easy to imagine that it is like a utopian way of life, just playing music for a living. And don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. It's worth the harder times, but that said, you gotta work really really hard and prepared to a lot of the time. Maybe not see the kind of it's not like an office job where you work hard from Monday to Friday and you get your wage at the end of the month. It's success is measured in a different way, I suppose. And sometimes you have to struggle, but like the conclusion that we came to before we started recording Solas was that it's worth the struggle, it's worth the hard times, to be able to do what we do. And that realization was part of the I suppose the kind of positive surge, the positive energy that went into making this record. It was the right thing to do. We just, we're making a Celtic influence record. There's songs on there that very much hone in on our environment back in Northern Ireland. And I mean, our rehearsal room was already a studio, it just wasn't up to, I suppose, the standards needed to record a full professional record. But instead of taking our record label advance and going to a studio somewhere else in the world, we figured we'd take the money and get our studio up to that desired standard. And there's a lot to be said for not working on a clock whenever you're making a record. Not being told you've got 3 weeks, whatever's not done by then won't get done. We were able to take our time with this and work long. We probably worked longer hours on a daily basis on this album than we have in any record in the past, but that's just because we could. Even when our producers went back to London, Paul and myself would stay in the studio and work 12-hour days, layering up guitars and vocals and adding little extra touches along the way. So it's the right thing to do. And of course now we have that studio there ready to go whenever we need to get back in there again and start making more new music. Lots of stuff. For one thing, my son being healthy and well and home, in his own bed, cot. It all kind of stems from that, the fact that my wife and I and my son managed to get ourselves out of that deep dark hole. You just you look at life a bit differently after an experience like that, and you just appreciate a bit of normality. You appreciate being able to go out and reclaim your life again. Get back into the rehearsal room, start writing songs again, making a record, being able to go on tour and know that my family's at home well in Belfast. That's a real cause for celebration in my mind. That time in hospital was like living in a horrible dark bubble. You know, I know we did an interview. I can't remember doing the interview. Can't remember much other than waking up in the morning, driving straight to the hospital, sitting by my son's incubator, and then driving home again that night for 4 months. No, we've actually added one new song. I suppose the biggest challenge is just presenting a good account of the new album. We're playing 9 out of the 11 tracks, so a large portion of the night is dedicated to the new record, the Solas. So you want to walk off stage at the end of it all happy that you did those songs justice. A kind of a more holistic way rather than a specific song. 'Cause there's so much different about this live show than our previous 10 years of touring. So some people are arriving and they're surprised by what they see and what they hear. We just wanna give a good account of ourselves. I think with every record we evolve. We always try and do things differently to the previous one, but this album, there's a more profound step to the left than anything we've done before. It's weird now because people are going and listening to our previous 5 albums and actually paying more attention to the kind of the left of centre tunes, the tunes that aren't your straight down the line, 4 to the floor rock and roll. People are starting to realise that there's more to the answer and what we stood for the last 10 years and what might come across if people are generalising, I suppose. So this record's there's a certain degree of reinvention going on, rather than just a natural slow evolution. So yeah, it's exciting. I haven't really worked that one out yet. I think you gotta kind of live in the present to even come close to answering that question. Like, there's no point. I could sit in a dark room and reminisce over the 4 months my son was in hospital, but it wouldn't do me any good. There's no point in that. Or I could spend that time, that energy, trying to create a brilliant life for him moving forward. And I'm lucky enough to have that sense of focus. So I think if you go through life and you have a couple of little focal points to put your positive energy and your positive vibes into, then you're doing all right. lots of times. I'm sure. I don't think is there a man or woman on this earth that hasn't wanted the ground to swallow them up at one point. Yeah, I mean that song specifically is a breakup song, but I like to throw a few lines in there that have a slightly more far-reaching general meaning. But yeah, you have to wait until I write my book.